I come around the corner and there's a sweeper hanging out, and the moose is tied into the boat, and we go underneath that sweeper, and it's just beautiful sunlight drifting through the willows and stuff, and it just grabs the moose antlers and breaks the rope, and they flop into the water behind me. Buddy grabs onto some brush and holds onto it, and the boat swings around, but he can't hold us in the fast current. And I can see the moose tumbling down the river. But we're over now. We're over like a 15-foot deep hole in the river, and the moose just falls into it, just disappears. And I run from one end of the raft to the other, and I just swan dive in. Boom. And I grab the moose. But what you don't realize about those heads is they're like 80, 90 pounds sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're paddles like this, right? So I go to pick it up off the bottom of the river and push myself towards the top, and the paddles catch the current. It just bowls me over backwards, and I just roll over it, and it rolls over me. And
gosh, dude.
It was out of control.
Well, welcome to the next episode of the HUNTXP Podcast. We've got a really good one tonight. Whenever you're listening to this, it's going to be good. We've got Justin Gibbins on from Limitless Outdoors. That is both a ministry and a hunting channel. And man, we just have this wide-ranging conversation about life, faith, hunting moose, this epic story he tells near the end of being 23 up a river nowhere in Alaska. So a lot ahead, a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff that's going to make you think and assess, which is great. It's awesome. So Johnny and I are excited for this one. Johnny, how are you, man? What's good? What's new?
Yeah, I'm good. We're just getting back from a little family vacation before school starts up and life gets super crazy. You know, by the time people are listening, school's already begun, I'm sure. But yeah, we're just gearing up for that. And nice to have a, good 6 days away with the family. It was wonderful.
Fantastic, dude. Fantastic. It's, as we're recording this, it's state fair time around Minneapolis, St. Paul. So my family does state fair every year. And every year I go, I'm just like, I have to do that thing where like, I don't know what it is, ego or something, but I take my kids to the fish pond and I'm like, listen, I am about to name every freaking species of fish in this pond, just so you know that I'm awesome. And they're like, Dad, fine, we'll do it.
Like, oh, yeah, Dad, we got to go to the fish pond with Dad again so we can flex, whatever.
I swear, I'm going to be like 50. I'm like, let's go to the fish pond. And then be like, Dad, come on. We know what a sturgeon looks like.
We were in Door County for vacation. And, if you've never been, go there. It's wonderful. There's something for everyone. Super kid friendly. Super awesome. Anyway, We're walking down the street in Egg Harbor. And I'm just excited because I'm like, this is fun. We're all here as a family. And I'm like reading what every building is. I'm like reading what that store is and that restaurant. And my wife is like, hey, hon, we can read. We can read. And I was like, you're right. You're right.
You're right. Everybody reads. Sweet.
My bad.
What is it? We just turn into such dads in those contexts. It's like a centrifugal force. You can't help it. Just happens.
What's the insurance company or whatever that's like becoming like your parents? It just is what it is.
Yeah.
It's
happening. Yep.
Yeah.
And our parents who occasionally listen to this podcast are probably rolling right now, laughing at us. But oh man, yeah, no, it's good. End of summer, getting pumped for season. This is really exciting. You can probably see it behind me. This is what I've been up to, but this is the year praying where I'm getting Daniel out in the woods as the hunter. He's been out with me before, my 7-year-old. So I'm getting super pumped, almost just as much, if not more pumped for him this year. And I'm like, I don't care what it is. We just need a doe to come by just to experience that. And so I like reached out to a few of our connections and partners, and I was like, you know what? It'd be really fun to walk people through what I think is some of the best gear to get a first time hunter. And I actually learned some of this stuff from you, watching you and some of your hunting videos with your boys and your setup that you have for your
Sure.
crossbow. And
Yep.
so I reached out to 10-point crossbows, and I was like, hey, this is my vision. You guys want to partner with this? And they're like, let's do this. Heck yeah. So they sent me this. I'm going to awkwardly walk over and
Yeah.
get this. And for those of you who are just listening, 10-point sent us what they thought was one of the best like entry crossbows, getting a kid in for hunting. And I'll go grab it and then I'll describe it to you real quick.
Look at that thing.
Look at this thing. Got to put the muffs on, you know. Here it is. This is a
Wow.
Wicked Ridge Invader decocking. So
Nice. That's
I was
important.
just, yeah, I think that's probably the feature that's a standout. So first of all, this thing runs, if there's not a sale on and you're paying full price, like $700, I think, but typically there's sales running and stuff. Comes with 3 bolts, quiver, and then you can get in the package. I know we like our bog pods, but this is their kind of version of that. And this tripod's sick. So you can get this whole setup for under $1,000, I think, and you're ready to rock. And on top of that, our friends at Burnett Blinds, I think, are going to send us one of their new blinds to try out this season as well. So maybe we'll talk about that more. But one of the things I'm noticing already, we'll have an unboxing video and a gear review video, but this is what you saw right away, this decocking thing. So this thing's pretty slick. Tucked in this right here, this thing comes out. This is the crank itself. So you take this crank off. This was new to me. So maybe you're like, yeah, JD, this is how crossbows work. Congratulations. But for me, I'd never seen this before because my dad has one, and it's like you pull out the strings, you pull up the thing, and then you got to fire an arrow when you're done. You got to fire it into the target and stuff. But that's the magic of this guy, is like you can just decoct this really easily. Daniel cocked this himself and decocked it. So
that's
it's like
nice.
only a 5-pound pressure. Like he can do it himself, even though I'll probably help him most of the time. Tons of safety features in this one. So I got a couple videos coming out on it. They might already be out on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out. And hopefully pretty soon in September, we'll have a hunting video out. Daniel's first one with this one. I'm still going to rock the trad bow and the compound this year, but it's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. I think so. We use an Excalibur for my kids, and you
Yeah.
have to grab the strings. You know, you have to cock it that way. There's no way the kids could cock it themselves. I don't have to shoot a
Yeah.
bolt. I can decock it with the same string, but a kid couldn't do it. So I think that is really
Yeah.
cool that your son Daniel can do that himself. And you touched on you're just as, if not more, excited to do that with your kid. I will tell you from experience, it is far more exciting / stressful in a buck fever type way to watch your kid try to pull it off himself. It is unmatched. It is so cool.
I'm so pumped for it.
You're gonna love it.
He's young, but it's just, he was firing these today at the range, just sending them 35 yards, just tink, tink, tink on
Yep.
top of each other in like that. I'm like, that is the best way to start. Like if
It
you're
is.
going to wait for them to hold 40 pounds back consistently and make a shot when there's a mature animal in front of them and they're shaking like
Mhm.
crazy, like that's just a really high bar. I know that's what we had to do, but that's a really high bar. And I think this is a
Yeah.
great way that these modern crossbows get them into like archery adjacent experiences. And I think it'll fuel the passion. After we were at the range today, it was really cool. My kids, I have got like the little bear bows that are like easy to pull back, you know? And I look back and Rosie is up in the treehouse, my daughter, and she's flinging arrows at my 3D target. So it's a bit contagious in our house right now, which is fun.
With him being able to drive tacks at 35 yards with that thing, the other awesome part about that is with the tripod, right? it
Yes.
takes, because he's going to be nervous. He's going to be shaken. My kids were
Yep.
both nervous, but the confidence you have as a father, as long as they've put the time in, they're going to make a
Yep.
good shot with that setup. They're going to make a good shot.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I think it's almost essential at his age. I mean, like, if you're going to go with a crossbow, there's not a crossbow light enough for a 7-year-old to reasonably hold still well.
Right.
You've got to have a good tripod that's holding it there. And it's just a great way to get him into the sport. And he's already, 1 foot in the door, but I'm hoping for a really solid experience. So,
yeah, I'm excited.
more to come on that one. Yeah. Well, should we jump in? Should we get, almost said Josh, should we get Justin on the podcast? Too many J's to keep track
As you
of
say,
on this
it's your own
podcast here.
name. It's your own name.
It's my own, it's my name.
Yeah.
If you didn't know I was Justin, now you do. Yeah. Well, let's get him on the pod. Here we go. Boom. Hey, Justin, you're here. Welcome to the HUNTXP Podcast. We're glad to have you, man.
It's good to be here. Looking forward to it.
I have to right off the bat for those who are watching this, just say probably the most epic background we've had on the HUNTXP podcast with the plane in the background. I don't know if anybody's going to top that going forward.
Oh, yeah.
But
Trying to set the standard here.
this is so good. You're joining us from Alaska, right? Tell us where you're coming from, and tell us a bit about where you're located.
Yeah, so I'm up here. I'm just outside of Homer, Alaska, and Anchor Point. We moved up here about 2 years ago from Idaho. I used to be right on the Canadian border, and moved up here for primarily, in a nutshell, all the hunting opportunities for what we do, for making our hunts and everything. And spent a lot of time in Alaska over the years, and just was kind of I don't know if it was a natural evolution, but it was definitely a desire of my heart from the time I was a young boy to be up here hunting these animals as a resident. So that's where we are now. So we're about 200 miles southwest of Anchorage is where we're at, down the Kenai Peninsula.
Was there a moment or a thing that hooked you on Alaska and kind of set that trajectory for you?
Well, so my dad used to come up here, and he was a boat mechanic, and he would work on boats in the Homer area. And catching salmon when I was a little kid, I would come with him all the time, and I'd catch salmon. And that was probably like the genesis of it. But honestly, if you're a passionate sportsman, it's the apex of everything, right? In America, anyway, for hunting. I do remember the first moose hunt I came on up here. I was 23, and like, I remember coming back to Idaho after that hunt. It was 2 weeks. It was insane. Our sat phone died, so we had to float out like 130 miles with the moose that we'd killed. And it was just an adventure. We're like starving and working hard, and everything's crazy. Like, you're catching big fish and killing big moose. And I remember coming back to Idaho, and it was just like everything lost its flavor in the lower 48 after that.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Not that everything's not cool in the lower 48, but it's just such another level up here. And so it's always hard. Like, I always warn people, if you go up there, like, you got to be prepared to just be hooked on it forever, because that's just the way it is in Alaska.
Wow.
So
That's like akin to fishing in Minnesota versus fishing in Canada. Like, we always say, like, once you go up there, man, you're ruined for fishing anywhere south of the border, because it's insane. It sounds very similar to that experience.
For sure. I mean, that's ultimately like I think as hunters, you lay awake and think at night and dream or visualize when you're going out to your stand or whatever. You're imagining the best day possible. I remember as a kid growing up, it was just like, I'd be fishing all these creeks in Idaho, and I just, you watch a river runs through it, and you're just like, man, I want to hook that 30-inch trout.
Right.
It's never like, you go years and it just doesn't happen. And then all of a sudden you come to Alaska and you just throw your line in the water, and bam, you got the biggest fish ever. And so it's like the fulfillment of everything that you're really chasing after. So that's, from that standpoint, it's just like hard to beat.
Sign me up. I've never been. I can't wait.
I think piggybacking off of that, and by the way, huge shout out to the movie A River Runs Through It. It's got to be Brad Pitt's best work, quite honestly.
God, yeah.
Premium.
But when you do something that's like, it's along the lines of your passion, right? But it's so different than everything else you've experienced. Like, I remember the first time I went out to Colorado elk hunting, and I didn't even shoot an elk that year, but it was the best hunting experience I've ever had, because it was so different. And it's like you say, you dream of it. You dream of doing it. And once you experience it, you're like, man, as a guy from Wisconsin, it's like it's hard to come back and be like, I'm gonna go sit in a deer stand now after hiking the mountains hunting, you know?
Well, it's like what life can be versus what you kind of, this might come out wrong, but it's what life can be versus what you settle for in some senses. Not in all
Sure.
senses. There's beautiful things about every place that you hunt, but I think that's the thing
Right.
that's always just kind of gotten under my skin with Alaska is like what life can be versus
Mm.
kind of this. I don't know. I don't want to offend. I don't want to offend anybody with that because there's a lot of like just getting out and hunting. Honestly, like some of my favorite days are the simplest days of hunting. So there are different
Mm.
animals in some senses, but at the same time, it's definitely a level up for sure.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that
Yeah.
completely. Yeah, you're not, and yeah, again, I understand why you think, oh, I don't want to offend anyone, but if you've experienced it, you understand like it's different, and it's not to say what you do, your day to day, your regular hunting season is bad or anything. It's just different, and it's really awesome.
Totally, totally.
Justin, take us back a little bit because now you've got Limitless Outdoors. And for the people who are just maybe through this podcast or just recently, like I have encountered some of your work, your hunts that are out there, your ministry that you do, give us the, 2-minute overview of what got you to where you're at today. And then we can dive into different components of it.
Yeah. So I would say just from a base level, I've been passionate about hunting since I was a kid. Grabbed video cameras when me and my brother were young, and we just try and video different stuff. And it just kind of it progressed, right? So we just got better at it.
Mm.
We wanted to share our experiences. Me and friends, like we all did it together. And just yeah, the core of it was the passion for hunting, and it grew beyond our wildest dreams in that regard. We just started putting videos out there, and in the beginning, you'd get 80 views on a video on YouTube. We used to sell DVDs originally, but we'd get like 80 views on a video, and so we never expected it to go anywhere. And then all of a sudden the video gets 100,000 views, and then it's kind of like no looking back. It starts to grow from there if you consistently press into it. And so there was a point in 2013 is when I gave my life to the Lord, and I wanted everything in my life to be glorifying to God.
Mm.
And for me, as I prayed about it, hunting had been an idol in my life for a long time. And as I'd prayed about it, the Lord just showed me to share the gospel in my hunting videos. And I had no idea how that would go. And it's grown from that. It just very organically has grown from that one act of obedience, sharing the gospel on every video, to really a full-fledged ministry where we disciple guys. And like it's expansive. We could go on for hours about that, but it's very much so just grown organically out of my passion for hunting. And Psalm 37:4 is a very key verse in my life. It says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." And a very foundational principle for me is like, I believe that God, it's not an accident that we're passionate about the things that we're passionate about. Like, I believe
Mm.
that God actually put those passions within us. And as we delight ourselves in the Lord, we're able to fulfill those passions in a God glorifying, holy way that produces kingdom impact and fruit. And so that's kind of how Limitless Outdoors came about in its entirety as you see it today, was passion for hunting, passion for the Lord, and just a passion for everything I do to glorify God. And this was the natural outflow of it as the Lord kind of directed that.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
I want to key in on something because the more I've talked about hunting now that we've had a podcast and the more that I reflect on it as a person of faith, that tension that you mentioned about idolatry. Can you explain that to someone who's not familiar? I can too, but it seems
Yeah.
I would love for you to identify what that is for someone who's like, "What? I don't have any like wooden idols in my house. What is he talking about?" Like I don't no Greek gods hanging out over here. So what do you mean by that? And what's its relationship to hunting? What do you mean?
Yeah. So the best way I've come to understand this, a really good friend of mine, his name's Craig Castor, has a pretty big ministry, and he has some great teaching on the things that we are supposed to tend and steward as men. And I'll just kind of speak to men, but it applies to women as well. But God has entrusted different things to all of us. If you're married, you have a wife, if you have kids, like all those are your responsibility. And the way that I think it's best to articulate it is like we owe a debt to all those things. Uh,
Hmm.
so like for our job, we have to show up at our job 40 hours a week, just for rough numbers. But for our wife, like we're called to do certain things. It requires time. It requires praying with her, sharing the word of God with her all the time, all these different things. And with our kids, there's a lot of investment there. And An idol is anything that takes you away from, first off, worshiping God fully. But I think more subtly, it takes you away from paying your debts, taking care of the responsibilities that God has in your life. And I think a very simple measure of that for us as guys is when hunting season comes around, and what I'm just speaking from my own experience here, when hunting season comes around, a lot of times I don't pay my debts for other responsibilities. Like I put other responsibilities way off and I focus completely on hunting. I allow it to consume me, right? That's where I was with it. Like everything revolved around it. I'd spend every last penny. Things that my wife and children wanted to do, like that was put on the back burner so that I could go hunting. And so like from a financial standpoint, I would put every penny that we had towards that. And then, they want to go on a family vacation. Well, sorry, dad's using that money to go hunting. And what ends up happening, and we see it all in our lives.
Can I just pause you? There's this phrase in the South that people say to preachers like, "Oh, preachers, you're reading my mail right now." And I feel like there's probably some dudes listening like, "Whoa, slow down here. You're reading my mail a little bit. Keep going. Keep going."
Well,
you're going in a good place. Yeah.
This concept of not paying your debts, what happens is all of a sudden there's consequences for that, right? And what that looks like within a family or within your job, like you're skipping work and like I've done all this, right? Like you skip out on work to go hunting. You skip out on, you said you were going to be at your kid's basketball game and you're not there. Well, what happens when you don't pay your debts is the debt collectors come. And when you don't fulfill your responsibilities, when hunting becomes an idol, you're not fulfilling your responsibilities well. And what happens is your kids start acting out. Your wife starts getting frustrated and then she's complaining and she's cantankerous and she's, because they're getting neglected. The debt that you owe them, that God, and this is not me just saying like you owe your wife a debt. Like this is what God says. And that's what marriage is paying these debts to these different people. And so things start getting out of whack. And then we go, well, why is my wife acting like this? Like she doesn't care about my passions. Why are my kids so rebellious? Why are they acting out and lying and, all these different things? And it's coming down to there's something out of order in your life. It should be God's first, then our wife, our kids, our job, and then our hobbies like hunting. There's kind of the biblical order of it. And it's super easy to get that wonky. I do have a remedy for it if you want to hear it. The remedy that we come to.
Can't tease us like that. Yeah.
In my own family, because we talk through it, right? And hunting is a passion of mine. It's a hobby. It's something that is very fulfilling to me, but it's also very much so a part of ministry. And I have a lot of friends that how they do it is they'll take guys with them and they'll take guys that are going through something or giving somebody the first kind of experience. But the best way I've seen to do it as far as time away from your family is you've got to sit down with your family and just kind of cast a shared vision of what we're doing and then like an end point to it and something that's going to happen afterwards. So for example, like I have a really hard push this next 2 months. And after that, like we have some plans as a family of what we're going to do. And everybody's kind of on the same page because it's a sacrifice for everybody to make this happen. But the one piece of advice I give to everybody is your family will be able to go along with you if you're able to share that vision with them of an end point and something that you guys are going to do together to reconnect afterwards. And so that would be my big piece of advice for guys that are, as far as a single step that you can take, is to just be like, look, I'm going to be done hunting October 15th or whenever it is. And after that, whatever's within your means to do. Like for us, we're going to Hawaii after everything's done. We go out there every year. And
not for access deer. Or
maybe there might be some of that happens.
Oh, I love it.
But so it's a really important thing. I mean, a good friend of mine always says that vision gives pain a purpose. And so as good. Men, especially, we're leaders, right? And we need to cast that vision because the Bible says without vision, the people perish. And so if all the optics are from the outside is dad just goes off and hunts because that's dad's thing, people get resentful of that because it is a consuming thing for you. But if you can provide some godly vision to that, and there's a lot, we could talk about this for hours, but that's definitely a key component. For sure.
Yeah, Justin, I just want to highlight what you already hinted to. I think of C.S. Lewis where he says, it's not that we desire too much. It's that our passions are too small or that they're bent in the wrong direction. And I think part of that is what I hear in your story too, is that in what you discovered in your relationship with God is that things got reorganized. And they're like, what I hear you saying is that they became more deeply meaningful once they were reordered, and they became bigger in that way. And once they were in harmony with the other things that God has put in your life. And so I think someone might listen to you and be like, dude, I ain't giving up rut week. Are you kidding me? Like the sacrifice is too strong. And it's not about that. It's about the reorganization of things to discover a deeper joy that God created when we have that alignment that you're talking about, right? Would you resonate with that? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No,
but yeah.
precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That the reorganization is like, I think there's so much that's paradoxical when you walk with Jesus. Like you think that you're giving up everything, but you're actually gaining everything. Like he says, he who wants to save his life has to lose it. And he actually gains it out of that. And so there's so many things that at the outset, it appears that God is trying to take everything from you, but really God's not a taker. He's a giver. Like he came to give life and give it abundantly. Like you said, though, C.S. Lewis said, like, it's bent and we're missing out and we don't even understand how it's all going to work out. But God's economy is a little bit different. And I would say this about idolatry. Like we talk about not having idols, but I have so many friends that have a house full of animals that they've killed, shoulder mounts and stuff, and they don't have a family there anymore because family's gone. Right. And so those are idols. Like if you're willing to give up everything that's really actually truly meaningful and impactful in your life for them and God's on the back table, like it is an idol. The line is so, like, I'm not a legalist at all. The line is so individual where that is for somebody.
Sure.
And only you can discern it, right? Only you can understand if you're crossing that line.
You
Because
and a
from the
few
outside,
good
you could say
hunting
that guy's
buddies,
nuts.
right?
What?
You and a few good hunting buddies who can call you out when you're crossing.
Yeah. And you have to have the same values on that. And so, like, even me, honestly, I share this with guys all the time. Like, there's moments within any given year that I start, veering off. I mean, we're passionate about this stuff. And I always say, like, for guys that work with us, like, I'd rather have to reel them back in than try and push them ahead. And so I think that's kind of our nature as people that are go-getters in the hunting. I think sometimes God has to reel us back in, and it happens on a regular basis, and you just quickly repent and get right back on the right side again and keep moving forward.
Did you know that you can use AI to become a better hunter? Here's what you got to do. Our team at HUNTXP has built a custom AI. We call it Crockett. And it is the combination of the power of AI and the collective wisdom of hunters for many years mashed up together and put right in your pocket, right in the field where you can level up your hunting game. You can ask it things like, what's the best broadhead setup for my situation? What's the best day to hunt this week? All sorts of questions. It's super fun. Our community's having a great time building this. We'd love for you to join in at huntxp.com. Join us.
Well, hey, here we go. I didn't know we were going in that direction, but that was amazing, man. Clearly passionate about it. Something that's been meaningful to all three of us on this call. I think all three of us have been on that kind of journey. And I feel like someone who matures in their faith with any part of their life that they have desire and passion towards has to go through that reorientation.
Totally.
That's amazing. So you so you start filming some stuff. You get one video that kind of blows up a little bit, and then you said it kind of becomes a thing. Tell us about that transition.
So, yeah, I would say our passion has been, backcountry, hardcore, like do-it-yourself hunting since we were kids. Like I grew up with nothing. Family lost our house, everything when I was a kid, got foreclosed on, kicked out. And just, I grew up watching Primos videos and stuff. And I was always inspired by those guys to chase after everything. It's hard because as you're getting going, you kind of have different breaks as you go. It's hard to say what was maybe the most pivotal of those as far as going forward. I think what it is, though, is it's a consistency. Like we just kept pressing in consistently, regardless of how people responded, because it was just something that we were passionate about. So I talked to a lot of guys that are trying to get into what they would call the hunting industry, and they're wanting to figure out what's going to appeal to everybody instead of just being who they are, and consistently walking that out. Because the reality is there are a gazillion people that will love who you are, as quirky as that may be. Like you watch Outdoor Boys. I don't know if you've ever seen that. My kids love Outdoor Boys.
Yeah,
dude's
great
quirky.
Stuff. So
Dude's
quirky
though.
Yeah, so quirky.
but it's awesome, and everybody
Yeah.
loves it, And but here's the thing that anybody can spot intuitively is somebody trying to be what they think people are going to like.
Mm.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, everybody told us when I started sharing the gospel, like, this is never going to work. Put the Jesus crap away. Some of my favorite emails are like one I just got the other day, a guy talking about how, he always used to skip over my messages, and now he watches for the messages and gave his life to the Lord. And so
That's awesome.
you got to, at a certain point, when we're talking ministry and life, I think you have to be true to what God created you to be in a holy form. I'm not talking about like sinful desires or anything here, but you do have to be true to what God's created you to be. There is a period of time that you'll be very tempted in anything that you do to try and act like somebody else that's already successful. And what I think that is you're subconsciously trying to get around the hard work of creating your own identity and own impact. And you're trying to kind of mooch off of somebody else's. And you would never think about it that way, but that's really what you're doing. But it takes time to build a reputation. It just takes time to do that. And if nobody really knows who you are, you'll never build what you want for a reputation. The best way to do it is be authentic and put in the time being consistently who you are in whatever you're doing, whether that's preaching, whether that's in your job. Like, you don't have to be like everybody else. And you got to put the consistent time in. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and there's this massive thing sitting there. And it's so hard to explain unless you've walked it out. But 10 years from now, we'll be here one day. And if you consistently do anything for 10 years, you will have a significant impact if you're really doing something worthwhile.
There
Wow.
you go. Future season 10 of HUNTXP, Johnny.
Yeah.
Just talking to you out there.
I think
that's gold, man.
I think
That's
Justin, what you just said too, of whether it be in something like the hunting industry or just in your everyday life, that draw and that pull to be someone that you're not, because you look at someone who maybe you admire and maybe for good reason, and you're like, oh, I want to have what they have or be like them. But that's not who you're created to be. Like, God created you with a purpose, and he made you intentionally exactly who you are. And so, of course, the most fulfillment you're going to get is living out exactly who you're supposed to be. And in that, God is most glorified. And I think that is awesome.
Well, we compare ourselves a lot to everybody else. All of us do it, good
Right.
and bad. And like, I always think back to Moses when he's having his interaction with God at the burning bush. He said, God's telling him all these things that he's going to do with him. And Moses is like, well, I can't talk well. And God's response was, I made your mouth. Like, it's not an accident how this whole thing is going, right? And we begin to look at that, and we look at our deficiencies, and we idolize maybe how eloquent somebody else is, or how they seem to flawlessly flow in whatever it is, or how charismatic they are. And man, it just doesn't matter. You look at some of the dorky guys out there that are changing the world, and it's just like, you look at, like, and I mean that in the most respectful way, but like, you look at like Elon Musk or any of these guys, like, they're just who they are unwaveringly. And they're so quirky, they're so different. And every one of us is the same, but we really tone ourselves down so much to try and fit in with what we think is the successful model.
I used to have a quote in my office. I don't know what it's from, but it just said, comparison is violence against the self. And I think that's what you're talking about. Like, we're our biggest enemy. We are the most violent to ourselves in our head when we're comparing ourselves to each other.
That's really good.
Particularly in hunting.
Yeah,
Comparison's like the name of the game in hunting. Like, buck boards are just the beginning for either that. And I think that's one of the flips, if we're going to go full circle here, because what can feed the idol of hunting is competition and comparison, and it can be used as boasting and pride. And that's one of the things that gets flipped. Like, still, yeah, you want to be successful, but there isn't this like insatiable hunger to have the biggest one on the buckboard this year. And you find and discover joy in like someone else, like your kid or a dude that you just brought hunting, like shooting a 1.5-year-old spike. And you're like, dude, that was amazing. That's the kind of stuff that can change. So,
well, yeah, I think God built us that way to desire excellence and the best. But from my standpoint, when social media came along, it really took it over the top. You pose with it just right, so it just looks like you're living the dream. Because I'll circle back to the first thing I ever said is that is the desire of every human is to have fullness of joy, right?
Mm.
But David said in Psalm 16:11, in God's presence is the only place that you will ever find fullness of joy. And that's the very thing that Adam and Eve were hiding from in the very beginning was the presence of God. And so they're hiding from the very thing that we're actually pursuing. And so we're never going to find it in a picture, in a social media post, in a big buck. Like those things, we're never going to find what we're actually after. We'll get moments of it. We'll get 200 likes on there and feel good for a second. And then it's like, well, we've gotten all the traction we can out of that, all the mileage we can out of that. What's next?
Mm.
So I don't know. That's just my observation over the years. Take it for what it's worth.
This is gold, dude. I do think that some listeners would be sad if we didn't get some backcountry wisdom from you and some hunting advice. What do you think are the key essentials that most people like me who've never been out there are totally oblivious to that we need to know going into it?
Yeah, I mean, I've run into lots of guys in the backcountry that want to get out there and experience it. And like you said, that you have no idea what you're actually up against. I mean, everything from, like you said, you're from Wisconsin there, and you go out to Colorado and you're hunting at 11, 12,000 feet versus, darn near sea level. Like a lot of people don't even know how their bodies respond to high altitude.
Yeah.
And everybody's different. Like I have friends that are in top shape and they get up there and they start puking and retching and like blacking out and they have to go back down.
Mm.
So I think that there's degrees of backcountry hunting, and every place is different. But time is pretty much the one that's really time and gear. I would say are your two biggest allies for success when it comes to hunting anything really serious. Like you gotta when you start putting time limitations on anything, which are real, but the more time you can give anything, the better off you are because every day is brand new. But then gear is the difference in staying power. I have seen so many people have to pull out after a bad snowstorm or a cold snap because, they've got a 30-degree sleeping bag and, well, it's only getting down to 30 degrees. Well, what a lot of people don't realize about a 30-degree sleeping bag is sleeping bags are rated for like survival degrees, not comfortable degrees.
Yeah.
You will live in a 30-degree bag in 30 degrees. You will not be comfortable. You'll live in a 0-degree bag at 0 degrees, but it'll be memorable. But there's such good technical gear out there now, from tents to backpacks to boots, like keeping yourself positioned that way. And then a lot of it's just experience. Like you want to go and do incredible things. It takes time to get experience so that they're super enjoyable. And from like a competency standpoint of packing out, 300 pounds of elk meat, like that's work. And, the one piece of advice I give everybody that is new to hunting, just hunting in general, and especially any kind of backcountry hunting, because you're putting so much into it. There's often I see this attitude that, I don't know, it's just like you watch too many videos and it's just like easy to kill these things. But I always tell guys, these animals don't want to die. You go out, I don't know how to explain it any better than that. Like I see guys walking around, upright, talking loud, and it's like every little thing has to go in your favor to be successful consistently. And that's just one of the things. It's like this assumption that I don't know. It's just like you're just going to kill them, and that's how it's going to be. And you have all the time. Like I don't know what it is about these guys making videos. They're just like they take 10 minutes to make a shot. And in my experience, the reason why we are so successful is because we resurrect some stuff out of thin air for shots. Like it's making stuff happen in very tight windows and stuff like that. So like opportunity is not abundant in the backcountry. Like you'll see some good video of somebody's or one of ours where there's animals everywhere. Generally not the case. Like you get one shot in a week and a half of hunting at the animal that you're looking for. And if you don't get it right then, it's over. And I've watched so many animals get away because guys thought, oh, I thought I was going to have more time. That's just not the way it works. Did I answer your question at all?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I'd love to hop in on that. I would agree wholeheartedly because my dad had been going out west with some of my uncles and stuff for quite a few years, and they'd come back, and we always go with a mule deer and an elk tag, and they'd come back with some mule deer every once in a while, an elk. But I remember my first trip, I was like, this is going to be just like on TV. I'm going to like get to the top of this ridge and I'm going to see like a herd of elk and I'm going to like pick out this bull. And it took me, I would say, and your time limit's an issue, right? You're out there for a week in our case.
Yeah.
It took me 5 years before I felt like I knew what I was doing and to be successful. And after those 5 years, I started getting an animal like every year, and I shot some really nice mule deer, and I got one bull elk. But I mean, the odds on an over-the-counter public land, it's like 1 in 10. So you're going to hunt 10 years and you're going to get one animal. So like people don't really realize the time and it takes to become competent out there to actually like have a good idea. And it helps if you have someone with you, but it's not like on TV where they're on this ranch and you're going to drive your UTV to the top of this place and you're going to watch the sunrise and see a herd of elk there. It's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, there's a rule in life. Some people call it the Matthew principle, but it's like the 80-20, 90-10 rule, depending on who you talk to about it, right? Like, so 90% of the game is killed by 10% of the hunters for our context here. And another way I would think about that, like you look at the over-the-counter stats on Colorado, it's like 8 to 10% success in most units for elk, for over-the-counter tags. And if you look at it, 90% of the hunters are in an area where the elk are only at 10% of the time.
Yeah.
Like you see all the guys riding around on their four-wheelers and everything and maybe walking a mile in. And the elk, sometimes a stupid elk will run through there in the middle of season and it'll get shot up by everybody, right? And so that's your 10% success because the elk are only there 10% of the time. But the elk 90% of the time are in 7-8 miles. You'll find them all the time when you get in 7 or 8 miles. So there's some very, very practical things like that, that when you understand, like if you're actually in the animals and then what it takes to get there and get them back out, those are things that actually change the odds. Like killing elk is not hard. It requires a little finesse, but it's not hard if you're in them. But the biggest problem most people have is they don't get into the elk. And so that's just a reality with it, or deer or anything. Like a lot of people are literally hunting mule deer where there's no big bucks at. And then every 10 years, a big buck comes running through there and they kill one. And that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's good. You're a pretty prolific moose hunter as well. Do you have like a story or two that are some of your favorite moose stories from Alaska or otherwise?
Definitely have a lot of moose stories. Alaska, moose, every time you go hunt moose, it's an adventure. So I'm always looking, I like to hunt new areas. I've only hunted the same spot twice ever for a moose. And so I like to get around and explore new stuff because it's just new experiences. But my favorite moose will always be my very first one. I talked a little bit about it earlier, but we got flown into this lake. I was 23 years old, me and my buddy, both 23. We didn't have anything. Like we didn't have rain gear. We didn't have 2 weeks in Alaska. And this is back before inReaches, before all that stuff. And we get flown in and it was beautiful, 70 degrees every day for the 2 weeks that we were in there. It was crazy, a crazy fall. And I killed this moose, and it wasn't like, now I've killed a lot of moose that are way bigger. But, I dreamed of it my whole life and it was just surreal. But we had to float. Our sat phone died. And there was no way to get a hold of our plane. And it was so hot, we were like, we've got to float back to town. And so it was 130 miles through some of the worst whitewater and snags and sweepers you could ever imagine. And we come around this corner like day 3 into this float, and we're just struggling. Like we'd run out of food. We didn't bring enough food. So all we're eating is like chewy moose meat. Like we're just having a go of it, right? And we come around this corner and it was actually pretty easy going. And I'm rowing the raft. And, we got 1,000+ pounds of gear and stuff in there and moose. We don't have a patch kit either, by the way. And
oh my gosh.
And nobody knows where we are in the whole world.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And so I come around the corner and there's a sweeper hanging out. And the moose is tied into the boat. And we go underneath that sweeper. And it's just beautiful. Sunlight drifting through the willows and stuff. And it just grabs the moose antlers and breaks the rope, and they flop into the water behind me. And so my eyes are like this big, and my buddy grabs onto some brush and holds onto it, and the boat swings around, but he can't hold us in the fast current. And so his branch breaks, and I grab a branch, and his end goes down to the bottom, and then my branch breaks, and he grabs a branch, and he's holding on. And now I can see the moose tumbling down the river. but we're over now. We're over like a 15-foot deep hole in the river, and the moose just falls into it, just disappears. And I run from one end of the raft to the other, and I just swan dive in, boom, and I
Oh my
grab the
gosh.
moose. But what you don't realize about those heads is they're like 80, 90 pounds sometimes.
Yeah.
And their paddles like this, right? So I go to pick it up off the bottom of the river and push myself towards the top, and the paddles catch the current. It just bowls me over backwards, and I just roll over it, and it rolls over me. And
Gosh, dude.
it was out of control. And so then I come up, and my eyes are this big, and it's ice cold. And I'm in my waders, and my buddy pulls me out, and the raft goes up on a log jam, and we've got a sharp stub sticking through the bottom. My moose is gone. And up here, you have to have the antlers. You have to have the antlers to prove how big it was.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, my first moose. And anyway, I go to shore. I'm throwing stuff out. We float back over it and ultimately end up finding it down under this log jam in the water and pulling it out.
Oh
but it
my
was just like,
gosh.
I mean, for a 23-year-old kid, like we didn't know anything. We just sent it. We just went there
Yeah.
with a dream. And it was like over the top, the ultimate adventure for a young 20-year-old kid to go do this on your own and come out. Both of us were successful. It was
Wow.
insane. It was, so that was life-changing for sure. And that would be what hooked me on moose.
Yeah, no
Wow.
wonder. No wonder your life looks the way it does now. That's amazing. Yeah. What a
Ooh.
story. Dude,
Yeah.
Justin, this has been fantastic. It's just awesome. Thank you so much for creating time for this and being authentically who you are, sharing the good news of Jesus and hunting. And man, if people don't know how to follow your story or backtrack and catch up with it, where do people find your stuff and how can they get connected with what you're doing?
Yeah. So if you want to check us out, check out our videos and everything on YouTube. It's Limitless Outdoors on YouTube. And then our website is limitlesshunting.com. And we have a ton of cool resources there as far as if guys are looking to, maybe even you've wanted nothing to do with the Lord your whole life, or maybe you've been running from the Lord, but you're missing something. Like we have a resource called The First Mile. That's all about like identifying who God is, how to have a relationship with him, why you need one, and then like how to practically walk that out, not in a way that you're just like sitting in some church pew and giving your money, but like really tangibly life-changing, actually walking with Jesus. So we got a lot of great resources like that over there. And then everything that we do is 100% free. So like our goal is to just see people, engage the Lord and experience the life that we've been experiencing with him. So that's been our goal from the beginning. So yeah, we got all that over there. But that's limitlesshunting.com is our websites. Yeah, lots of cool stuff over there. Cool videos. Like we love hunting and we love Jesus.
Brilliant, man.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Justin, for being here. You're a
For
riot,
sure.
man. This is a lot of fun. Hopefully we get to hang out again sometime and hear more stories like that one. That was
Would
amazing.
love to.
So-
Maybe
Thanks for
maybe
having
we'll
me,
end
guys.
up in that plane behind you or something someday.
There we go. Yeah.
Sign me up. Sign me up. All right, Justin, that was so fun, man. Thank you so much for rolling with us. I could talk for many more hours, but I know you've got dinner guests, and
For sure. I appreciate
it.
Behind the scenes bonus banter.
I'm just had a freak out moment, like we're just randomly live streaming somewhere, but we're not. If we are,
Well, welcome.
it's fine. It's fine. Hey, everybody, if we are,
That would be
we absolutely know what we're doing here.
hilarious, honestly.
People would love it. Get in on
Maybe.
Or they like, this is enough. Enough of these guys.
There's Justin right there.
How's it going?
What's up, man?
Hey.
Much?
Good. Man, epic. A plane in the background.
Yes.
Well, I'm living in a
it.
construction zone, so I'm trying to give you the best
Nice,
background you
dude.
can.
I
Love
think
it.
the plane is great. We haven't had a guest with a plane in the background yet, so
Perfect.
that's fantastic.
It's
I
good.
hope I have good enough service here.
That's good.
I'm getting pretty slammed with hunting. I'm about to be nonstop the next 2 months.
That makes complete sense. So I'm like, hey, if we can get them in before it gets crazy, that'll be the thing to do.
So how's life going for you?
It's busy, but it is what it is.
Dinner guests coming over at 6:15 my time, so about an hour from now.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure we can. That shouldn't be a problem. So JD, Justin has dinner guests coming in about an hour, just as a heads
Sweet.
up.
Yeah, we can hit that. No problem. Yeah, dinner guests. I love that. You're 3 hours behind us. Johnny and I have our pillows coming in about an hour after
Right.
this is what's coming next for us.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's great. That's great, dude. Trav, my brother, who you've met and I think spent some time with. So him and I and Johnny from high school, that was like the origins of Sportsmen for God, which eventually came into this thing that hosted the banquet you were at.
Yep.
Johnny and I, and Trav a little bit too, started HUNTXP.
He texted, said he was going to miss it. He was just leaving his friend's place.
Classic
Oh,
Trav.
there you go.
Okay, well, don't worry about that. I won't mention them at all, but we will we'll mention something about Sportsmen for God. Do you have any questions for us other than who are these random guys that I'm talking to for the next?
I'm super flexible, so whatever you guys want to do, I'm ready to roll.
That's good. Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time.
For sure. Hopefully I'll talk to you guys again soon.
Yeah,
Would
you
love
bet.
that. Later.
All right, we'll see ya.
That was cool.
Oof. Yeah, he's gone. I hope that worked.
I hope so too.
I don't know how it's always a scary moment when people just go.
I know. But no, it should be good.
Yeah.
So
That's great. Well,
yeah,
dude, he's so much fun to talk to, man.
I know.
What a cool dude. That was
I think
awesome.
that every time we like chat with someone, and we've chatted with like a whole gamut of people, every time I'm just like, wow, that was so fun. That was so cool.
Super fun. Yeah, you never quite know where it's going to go or the contours of the conversation, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good.
Dude, I think one thing really cool that was resonating as he was talking about it was like, we don't have to do or be anyone other than who we are. And I just think that is really a refreshing reminder. Yeah.
Yeah, we need more of those reminders. Yep.
Yeah, because it's easy to be like, oh, I want to be someone in the industry, where it's like, really, I don't really care. But I just think it's cool that like we don't have to try to be, let's just say THP or someone else. We don't have to try to be any of that. We just have to keep doing what we're doing the way we want to do it. And I think that's great.
Just got to be HUNTXP. Got to be who we are. I was actually thinking about that idolatry stuff. I'm like, that's a real tension that you've got to process almost all the time, but you owe it to all the people around you in your life to get that sorted and keep it in check. Pretty consistently.
I was going to say, and I forgot to, but his remedy for it is a good remedy. You talk it through and you say, Dad's going to be, all in on his hunting for 2 months because it's part of our livelihood. But then after that, there's this. I thought one other remedy that I've found is have your family do it with you, because that's what we do. Like, that's what I'm doing,
Just bring them along. Yeah.
I know. I was like, I logged.
That's the best remedy.
I mean, like I said, I logged like 2.5 hours by myself in a tree, and I logged like countless hours with my 2 kids, and it was amazing. So yeah.
I've probably got like one more season. I'm going to hunt with Daniel this year, but I've got one more season where I'm not like right there with you. This is probably my last, like, more me solo than otherwise. So,
well, I'll tell you what, the last however many years of me focused hunting has been just mediocre, but the 1 year of solely kids focused has been my best year ever.
Just keep it up, man. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Good. That was a fun convo. We love to pray before we really get going. So if you wouldn't mind joining us, we'll do that. Then we'll start. All right. Jesus, thank you for Justin and for the life that you've crafted for him and in front of him. We all just hope that this time just brings you glory. And I pray that our joy for hunting and our joy for you meld well together. And we're able to share wisdom and knowledge about the field, but also represent how we're impacted by everything you've done. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 All right, man. Well, let us begin.
Sounds good.